Hi, I am Linda Deer, and this guy right here,
Is not Linda Deer, is Ray Holly, and I'm the chief researcher here at lindadeer.com.
he is Ray's the best researcher on everything. And it's always our pleasure to be with you on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, right here on my Facebook page, my Facebook timeline, and my YouTube channel. Use the search term Linda Deer. All right. And tell your friends, at like-minded friends and family about what we do. All right. Welcome to episode number 280 of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, a weekly gift of guidance from my spirit guides on navigating the uncertain world that you are now living in. Published every Tuesday since 2014. Tonight, the guides will be talking about different levels of intuition. The takeaway from this week's episode is you will understand how to interpret what your intuition is telling you. The lowest level is when you just sense it. The higher level is where you feel the energy come through. The next highest level is when you can actually hear intelligence from the other side, known as clairaudience. And the highest level of intuition is when you can actually see the outside energy come through. That's what happened when I took their photograph. That happened at Christmas time in 1994 when they appeared. They allowed me to take their photograph, film days, with my Nikon camera, and everybody else was in the room and the kids were running around. And I took the photograph because they appeared just like this, lit up the whole room, 7 foot tall, took their photograph, they dissipated, and I looked around in the room and I said, "Did you guys just see that?" And they said, like they always do, "What did they say, Ray?"
See what?
That's right. And every time that happens, there's no sense in talking about it anymore because it's obvious that you're vibrating to a different energy than they are. There's no sense in trying to make sense to somebody who missed the whole point, right? Okay, those kind of people aren't even the lowest level in sensing intuition. They're at a no level.
It's kind of hard to miss a 7 foot brilliant light being standing in the middle of a room.
Well, I didn't miss it.
Well, I know.
And then I got the film back a couple weeks later after I got back from my trip from California. There it was. And they come to me in a dream a couple weeks later and they tell me, I was lucid, and I asked them, "Why did you let me take your photograph this time? Since I've seen you since I was a little girl." And they said, "We appeared so the world could believe. You are going to write a best-selling book about your relationship with us since you were a little girl, and it's going to be a bestseller." And that's exactly what happened. I wrote the book 20 years later because I wasn't ready to write it yet. In fact, Ray wasn't even in my life until 2004. So Guided was published 10 years after I met Ray. And one of the first things the guides told me when Ray and I got together for the first time communicating with them, as Ray was learning this with me, I was teaching it to him. They said, "Write the book." Now that Ray was in my life, that's when they said, "Write that book, Linda." So Ray was supposed to be part of it, all right? It's so fascinating how things work out. Okay, and since there are multiple levels to consider of intuition, there are many things that influence intuition. No matter how the energy and intelligence comes through, you must trust that it's coming through for a reason and to trust it. You can't, and I want you to know, you can't trust the intuition until you trust the source, and that would be you. You have to be able to trust yourself and quit doubting what you heard. Quit doubting what you saw. Quit doubting what you felt. Quit doubting yourself, because that's interrupting that natural flow that's going on all the time. Intuition, the guides speaking to you, they're helping you all the time. All right. So, not trusting the energy flow is the biggest impediment to being able to use the information. I mean, the intuition's great. You got it. You captured the intuition. But if you don't use the information, the intuition, what it showed you, what it gave you, it was just nothing more than entertainment, you know. And this, your life is pretty far from entertainment. Okay, and the last thing I want to say, now these insights are much more than what I'm reading. Okay, I'm just reading little excerpts from it. So do go to the Linda Deer website and sign up for Linda's weekly guided insights. So start a 15-minute daily routine of writing down what your intuition is telling you. That's why I wrote these journals. These journals came about from the people who read or listened to Guided, my story, how I learned it. And when they came to me asking me, they wanted to learn what Guided teaches. This is what it teaches, these journals. These journals will, in fact, we've got 2 comments today of 2 people who are using these journals every single day, okay, to amplify their intuition, to stop missing the insights that come through, the guidance that's always there. So their lives are they're making more sense. They're becoming more interesting. I can't say they're becoming easier yet, because when you come out of not using intuition and all of a sudden you're using it all the time and you're really, really getting it, you'll look back at what you thought was going pretty well as it was really a struggle, okay, compared to where you're going to find yourself for when you practice this for just 15 minutes a day, writing in your journal about what was unusual and out of the ordinary. Stop missing the guidance, the intuition. All right. So, Ray, what do we have?
We have 2 comments and a great encounter that the second person had.
Ooh, I want to hear this.
Okay.
All right.
First one came from the Netherlands. Boy, you have a lot of fans in the Netherlands.
I
There's
know.
always somebody from the Netherlands.
They are. And, you know, when as Ray reads these, we're going to have the guides speak to these people who left these comments. Okay.
Right. And who asked questions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Rebecca said, "Hi, Linda and Ray. I really liked this insight. Heart emoji. I float between all of these levels of intuition on a regular basis."
The 4 levels.
Right, the 4 levels. When I really want to know something or feel something, nothing happens. But when I just go with the flow, all sorts of things happen. Things like serendipity. I feel and know more about things and what to do in situations, and I can see more spirits or they can communicate with me. Journaling helps me to stay in the flow of things. It helps me figure out my feelings that I get and understand if they are intuition or fear or something else. Once I'm sure of the guidance, I can move forward with it and more things unfold from there.
Right. That's right. That's right. She's talking about writing in these journals. These journals are not like any other journals you write in. Not like any other. Okay. So these journals, it's a little bit in depth to get into it, but just go to my website. And if you go onto the homepage right here, you go down to all the way down to the bottom, you'll see the books scrolling, and you'll see these journals. You'll see Guided. You'll see these journals and 2 other books I wrote. And you can just look through them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, when people hear the word journal, they think of a diary type journal. It's not that at all.
Not at all. This is going to put you in touch with guidance and keep you connected, keep you on that path. Okay.
Teach you actually how to communicate with your guides, and in the places where you need help, or you're having trouble in your life, and you get stuck. You get stuck in a rut. The same relationship over and over
Oh,
again. You
yeah.
can't get out of it. Well, what these books will do will help you walk back through your past life and identify the exact point where you got into this repetitive habit. Something
Yes.
was said to you or done to you that made you go
That
out and pick the same kind of person
that
over and over
changed
and
your
over.
life.
Right.
It put you on a trajectory that was not always to your best interest. Okay. But
Right.
you catch once you catch it and you see it, it can't have you anymore.
Right.
Okay. So Ray, what do we have for the
Well,
comments?
what did Linda Deer say?
Yeah.
Linda Deer said, "Your explanation of your different levels of intuition is excellent. True intuition comes when we're not expecting it. Going with the flow along with awareness is what the present moment feels like, and nothing is more accurate than that." Right.
That's right.
Present moment is all there is.
So let's let the guides have a moment, have a conversation with Rebecca about what she's realizing. Okay. And here they go.
Rebecca, you have a fine grasp of the different levels of intuition. We utilize all the levels to communicate with you. Everyone starts at the more instinctual intuition level that teaches you feelings that are fight or flight type of reactions. The lowest level is more reactive than the higher levels. Once you start to add the heartfelt intuition, you begin to see there's much more going on. You know you've graduated to that second level when you start to communicate with people or animals or even places. You've been many places that felt familiar. It's because they were giving off the energy that you experienced there before. It's the second level that gives you an appreciation for nature and enjoying love, joy, and beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first, well, little kids, when they come in, new people, the only thing they're afraid of instinctually is falling down and loud noises. Those are reactions, reactive intuition.
Yeah, that's instinctual.
Right,
Yeah.
that's
Fight or
instinctual.
flight, looking out for yourself. You
Right,
don't want to get hurt. Yeah,
right.
that type of thing. Yeah. So what do we have on
We have
the
another
next one? Okay.
comment
Okay.
um, from Marie in California. I love the way she starts out at for the Ray and Linda show.
I know. That's
The
great.
Ray and Linda show. Earlier this month, this is like came from her journal. Earlier this month, on our Sunday walk, I spotted several vultures starting to circle in the sky. So I decided to stop and feel into it. As I was watching them, the whole event grew more intense as she began counting until there were 17 of them flying from every direction and starting to amass, which is highly unusual. She's never seen that many uh,
in that area.
in one spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's usually not that many.
No, usually when you see she said vultures.
Yeah,
When you see that many, there's something dead, and the vultures come in. They clean up the planet.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so that was highly unusual. At first, we thought they must be tracking something big, on the ground, over off in a far off field.
Yeah.
But in a matter of moments, the entire group of 17, like a circling vortex, moved directly over their heads, okay, on an empty suburban street. I did not sense any immediate physical danger or personal dread, but the energy that I picked up on had an eerie collective quality to it. Vultures don't freak me out or scare me. I love and respect all birds as messengers, so I know that my feelings were not fear based.
Now, is that the end of the bird part of this?
No, no.
Okay. When you're done with the bird part, the vulture part of it, I want you to stop.
Okay. So
Keep reading.
it was such a powerful symbol that it left me a bit bewildered, yet still feeling like it was definitely an omen of some form of substantial renewal to come.
Okay. Now, you did some research on that because you talked to me about it, about vultures.
Yeah.
I want you to let that go.
Yep.
I want you to not hear. This is the important part about communicating with your guides. If Ray already has something in his head, I mean, I don't. I know how to remove it. But if Ray has something in his head, I check with him every once in a while when we're doing this work to make sure he doesn't lay it over the session, interfere with what the guides intend to tell you. Okay. That's why working with a partner, whether you're working with your partner over Zoom and you're not in the physical location with each other, or you're right together, like Ray and I are, you always want to make sure your partner is clear. Okay. And there may be something that comes up, and I'm real emotional about it or heated about it. And Ray will tell me, Linda, let that go. Okay. Okay. And I'll go, okay, Ray, thanks for reminding me, for letting me breathe that out so that I can let the guidance come through and be out of its way. And it comes through pure. All right. So we're going to let the guides talk about this incident with the vultures and what it meant to you, Marie from California, what it was saying to you, what you needed to know, what guidance was there. All right. And here they go.
Marie, vultures, like humans, are wired for the simple as well as the sublime. They are not only creatures of habit and very disciplined, but they are also adaptable. Routine is something that is good for them in order to survive.
But why did they circle around them? What's the significance in that, since it was such an unusual event?
You were right when you said they were messengers. Vultures are a symbol of messenger between the earth plane and the spirit world. They are revered in many cultures and not feared. They represent the cycle of life.
What was this message directly to Marie from California? We know all those things. What's the message to Marie?
Renewal. You are at a point in your life where you are changing directions, just like they did. You are at a point of cleaning up old stuff and starting anew.
17 of them.
That's a lot of them.
That's
I
powerful.
don't think I've ever seen that many.
Okay, so go ahead with the rest of what she wrote. Hers was long, but when we have situations, it got.
Oops.
So what's happening? Yeah, what happens is when you have something that is this in depth, we take it down with the guides step by step. So we may have a few of these by the time we get through her questions here. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Okay, let's see where she left off.
The end of the
Okay.
vultures.
All right. In this week's insight, you mentioned the 4 levels of intuition, which is the most detailed separation and explanation that I have ever seen on the topic. Thank you. I haven't seen any auras yet, people's auras, but I have regularly experienced elements of all 4 levels of intuition off and on throughout the same day.
Right, just like Rebecca's, what were Rebecca, the earlier comments, that comment that Ray read.
And she's very open to it. In addition, I'm regularly approached with different visitations from birds, animals, insects of all kinds, both in real life and in my dreams. Most exciting are the owls who come in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
Over the years, I have learned to look up the symbolism of their habits and history of how the ancient people perceived them to get further insight from what they are communicating. Still, sometimes the energy from the experience is intense, and there is so many conflicting meanings that I find in print that I am often left perplexed as to what the root of the message really was, which is what they said.
Right, exactly.
When recording it all in my journal and watching the following events in the days and weeks afterwards,
Upon review,
right, she can start to see patterns within the threads,
right,
but they're not always obvious, which leaves me feeling like I'm maybe missing the mark somehow.
okay, let's let the guides talk to her about where she's at, where Marie is at with her journal writing right now,
Right.
okay? Where she's at right, because it's not going to be the same in a week from now, in a month from now, in a year from now, but right now, okay?
Marie, we rarely tell you everything at once.
Right.
The fact that it feels like we piecemeal it out is to allow you to not only record it, but as you said, see the patterns that are revealed when you look back over weeks or months. This is when it starts to all make sense. Most of the time, if we told anybody everything at once, it would be too much to digest, and many of the things you mentioned in between each entry wouldn't have gotten noticed.
Right. So when you write in your journal, when any of you are writing in your journal, the single journal entry, the single journal entry, you make a single journal entry. Just one. Okay, that's one. Both sides of the pages equals one journal entry, and all the different things you ask yourself to flesh it out. You do this for 15 minutes a day. And then what Marie did is she's been writing in her journal. What she did is she went back and read what she wrote day after day after day. She reviewed what she wrote, and she's still going, I still can't see it all yet. And like her guides just said, you're not supposed to. What you need to do for all of you guys, you need to keep it up 15 minutes a day. Do not miss a day. Okay. Now, what you're going to do when you write in here, you're going to think you're writing all this. You're going to think all of it's coming from you. The way that the guides talked to Marie is they made it clear that they're speaking through her on these pages. They're there with her on these pages. She's not alone as she takes that 15 minutes and has that meeting with her guides. That's really what's going on. You've got it. When you do this, you have to take time out, no distractions, no phones ringing, no kids banging on the door, no, none of that. Even if you have to get in your car and drive down the street, to give yourself that 15 minutes so you can have that time, that 15-minute break with your guides, because that's what's going on here, especially as you ask yourself how it felt, what you wrote down. Now you're getting into where your guides are walking with you. As you write out how it felt, they're actually helping you do that. They're helping you remember. They're helping you see more than you could have seen on your own as you dive into the details of how it felt. Okay. The next thing that happens when you do a really good job of expressing how it felt is what you realize. And that's free. That just shows up. Okay. And when you have that, the action that you're going to take is obvious. It's not a struggle like it would have been if you just wrote it down and went over to what action are you going to take? Well, what are you talking about? You wouldn't even know where to start. Okay. That's why these journals are different than any journal that you'll ever write in. Okay.
He even says, my guided journey of self-discovery and personal transformation.
And that's
Well,
exactly
you don't transform in one day. You don't learn anything in one big data dump, no matter what you're trying to learn.
but I'll tell you, so that's true, Ray. But what happens is, and I've seen it many times in my training with people, they write in their journal and write and it's like a daisy chain, day after day and after day. All of a sudden, they have an epiphany. Oh my God, I see where this was taking me. Now that I look back and review what I wrote that day, and then the next day, and the next day, and I see what's going on. I can see it now. It's out of here. It's out of here, and it's on the pages. And when they said you can see the patterns, okay, you can only see the patterns if you write it down
Yeah, everybody mentions patterns.
and review it. It's important because you can't see it when you're in it, you guys. You can't see it when you're in it. You can't. But you know who can? Every time you write in this, and your guides can see what you can't see. They can see it when you're in it. You're the one that was assigned the amnesia and came into this life. 2 strikes against you for consciousness, for being awake. Your guides didn't do either one of those. They didn't sign up for either one of those. They can see it all. They know why you're here. This connection you have to your guides is not an option. Not if you want to live the life, actually achieve living the life you intended. Okay? That's what this does. All right.
Those kind of revelations, when you finally see how it all connects, come at the later stages of intuition. That's where psychic occurrences happen, and you may even hear something. They may even start to talk to you, not just give you a hint or play a song, or somebody says something to you and you
I
write it
know.
down, where it's kind of odd and out of the ordinary. But when you get to that level, you're approaching consciousness with everything, which is your goal.
What Ray's saying is the struggle in getting your intuition fired up. Really. I mean, your intuitive muscles got weak and now you're working to strengthen them. What Ray's saying, where he's taken us here, is as you're moving through that building those muscles and getting your intuition awake again and working through those 4 levels so that you're flowing more, you're more on automatic. It's not like a once in a while intuitive hit you have, but it's a flow that's going on all the time. Okay, and you're along for the ride, you guys. I'm telling you, it's the only way to go, because this intuition is smarter than you are, way smarter than you are. So when you go with the flow, what'll happen eventually, it'll just become part of your nature. You'll just be on all the time. You'll be calm. You won't be high one moment, down the next. You won't be, doubting yourself one minute and then overly believing in yourself. Okay. You won't be swinging far and wide. You'll be in the center. You'll be solid. You will be present. And you, when you're present, you are connected. It's just a byproduct of just being at ease with yourself. That's where intuition is at its finest, because there's no disconnect between you and them. There's no disconnect. It doesn't get better than that.
And when you have these little snippets of intuitive guidance that you're writing in your journal, and 2 months later you're starting to see the pattern, you're piecing it all together, you look back and say, "Oh yeah, those were uh, little bits of um, what's the word I'm looking for? Visions of the future, of my future that's coming together."
Yeah, you can see it when you can only see it when you write it in your journal. And then you see the storyboard. This is a storyboard.
Yeah.
This is your life, okay, revealing itself in a way that you would otherwise completely miss. It's really making you conscious from being unconscious, which is the way most of the world is. And I want to say this too, which is why there's so much trouble in our world. If we were all more conscious, we would all be connected, you guys, and there would be no need. Nobody would want to hurt each other. There would be no, there would be no conflict. All right. So it's about, we're coming into a fourth density consciousness. We are in it. We are moving into it right now. So do your journal writing where you can see how you're developing. You can see the proof on the pages. You can get whatever conflict is going on in you out of here and put it on the pages. Once it's on the pages, you will not believe how much better you're going to feel, because now you can see it out there and it's not something you take so personally. Okay. It gives you so much more power. But this is the secret right here. Okay. I'm going to move on. Ray, did we cover all this, babe?
We certainly did.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about next, just a few ads for next week. And then we're going to close this session about different levels of intuition with the guides, their closing message. So hold on. Join us next Tuesday, May 4th. May already. Oh my God. For episode number 281 of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights with me, Ray, and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time on my Facebook page, Facebook timeline, and YouTube channel. Use the search term Linda Deer. All right. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, my spirit guides will be talking about stop asking me how I'm doing. The takeaway from next week's episode is you will think twice before you ever ask someone how they're doing again. This insight is about becoming much more sensitive to others. So you listen before you say anything. Did you ever think asking someone how they're doing was such a bad idea? After hearing this insight from the spirit guides, it makes sense, especially in these challenging times. You don't want to miss next week. It's going to be amazing what you're going to hear. All right. All right. And this Thursday, May 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, join us on our Facebook private group, Ask the Universal Channel. It's where you learn how to use Ask the Universal Channel. The teachers of Ask the Universal Channel will perform the following. Joy's guides will talk about the most important thing you can do to keep a training schedule. Now, there's training that they do for using this, and that's what she's talking about. And they interface it with your journal. So between your journal, you write down what your question was that you're going to ask your guides. And then the guidance you got from the guides when you channeled it, when they channel it for you, you write that as the answer down in your journal. And then you ask yourself, how did it make you feel? And then what you realized and the action you're going to take. It's a perfect system, you guys. This will become, these 4 qualifying questions will become alive inside you, whether you have your journal with you or not. You'll be on automatic with it, firing right through those, all right? You're going to know what to do. You're going to know what to do and when to do it every time. And you're not going to doubt yourself. Kathy's guides will discuss the importance of universal consciousness and your part in it. This event will be hosted by Linda Deer and Ray Holly, so don't miss it. Ask to join the group. Ask the Universal Channel. All right. So, if my work has helped you or changed your life in any positive way, share what we do, what Ray and I do, with your like-minded friends. We appreciate that. Just send them to our website. That's where they're going to see everything right there on the homepage, okay? All right, so I love these sessions. Okay, the guides are going to close. Different levels of intuition. Here they go.
You came here as a new person, a new soul on its next journey.
A new soul to the planet.
You started out with your basic intuitive signals and learned how to interpret them. Throughout,
I want to call it your GPS. Okay.
throughout your life, your goal was to reach the highest level of intuitive communication. This is where you realize there is and connect to a universal consciousness. It's the highest level that humans can achieve on this planet. You become conscious and aware where you can access the intelligence that is the source of reality.
The source of reality. People think that this world is all there is, and this is reality, this world. This is the illusion, you guys. This is pretty far from reality. Okay, this is the illusion of reality. And every one of us chose to be here. We picked this. So you're perfectly positioned to experience the highest levels of intuition and knowing who you are. This is where it starts. It actually starts here. Get my book if you haven't gotten it. Read it or listen to it. I did the audiobook too. The audiobook really outsells them all. So paperback, Kindle, audiobook, get the audiobook if you can. And then get these journals. This is what Guided teaches, okay? And it gets you right through it. It wakes it right up. It wakes up that intuition, and those intuitive muscles will get strong quickly. But you got to do this. You got to have this meeting with your guides. For just 15 minutes a day. And the best way to do this is the time of day that you choose to do this. If it's the same time every day, that's your appointment that you made with your spirit guides and angels. So they are there when you show up with your intention and your quiet time with them, that meeting, that 15-minute meeting with them once a day. That's a special time. Okay? You guys, we will see you next week.
Next week.
And remember, you are never alone and always